The exhaustion of trying control feels like power, but most of the time, it's fear wearing armor. You tell yourself that if you just try harder, plan better, optimize more, things will finally click. If you push one more time, send one more message, rehearse one more version of the future in your mind, then you'll be safe. But here's the paradox. No one teaches you. The tighter you grip your life, the less it moves. And the moment you loosen your hands, even slightly, something begins to rearrange itself around you. Not because you gave up, but because you finally stopped interfering. This video is not for the lazy. It's for the tired, the overthinkers, the burnt-out strivers, the ones who've been swimming upstream for so long they forgot what it feels like to float. And if that's you, maybe it's time to stop forcing it, because what's meant for you is already moving. Why this happens? The addiction to effort. You were raised to believe effort equals reward. Work hard, push through, make it happen. And effort is beautiful. Discipline is sacred. But somewhere along the way, effort turned into strain. You wake up already tense. You check your phone with a subtle anxiety in your chest. You measure your worth by productivity. You overanalyze texts. You rehearse conversations that haven't happened. You plan 5 years ahead, but forget to breathe in the present moment. You think if you stop pushing, everything will collapse. Relationships, opportunities, momentum. So you force clarity. You force timing. You force people to stay. You force yourself to be ready. And the more you force, the more resistance you feel. It's like trying to run in water. Every movement costs twice the energy. But here's what psychology quietly reveals. The nervous system cannot create from survival mode. When your body feels unsafe, your brain narrows its perception. It scans for threats. It prepares for impact. It doesn't expand. It doesn't imagine. It does not flow. So when you're constantly trying to make life happen, you may actually be blocking the very intelligence that would guide you there. Carl Jung once wrote, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. And what you chase from fear runs from you with equal speed." The illusion of control. Look at nature. The river does not force the ocean to receive it. The wind does not strain to move the grass. The moon does not hurry through its phases. And yet, everything arrives. The river reaches the sea not by aggression, but by persistence and surrender. It moves around rocks. It curves through valleys. It yields. And because it yields, it endures. But you've been clenching, trying to control timing, trying to control perception, trying to control outcomes. You've been gripping your desires like water in a fist, and water cannot be held that way. It slips through, not because it isn't yours, but because you're holding it wrong. Control feels like safety, but real safety is internal. It's the quiet knowing that says, I don't need to force what belongs to me. The Stoics understood this deeply. They separated what is within your control from what is not. Your effort within your control, your integrity within your control, your presence within your control. Outcomes, not fully. Other people's choices, never. Timing, rarely. So why exhaust yourself trying to command the wind? The moment you stop chasing, there's a strange shift that happens when you finally get tired of pushing. Not defeated, not hopeless, just done. Done manipulating, done rehearsing, done trying to bend life into shape. And in that moment, something softens, your breath deepens, your thoughts slow, your body unclenches, and without realizing it, you become available. Available for intuition, available for opportunity, available for synchronicity. Because here is the spiritual truth hidden beneath psychology. Flow is not something you create, it's something you allow. When you stop chasing love, you stop radiating desperation. And connection finds your steadiness attractive. When you stop chasing success, you start focusing on mastery. And opportunities sense your groundedness. When you stop chasing certainty, you start trusting the process. And clarity appears in motion. It's like floating underwater. The more you thrash, the more you sink. But when you relax your body, you rise. Not because you tried harder, but because you stopped fighting gravity. From force to flow is not passivity. Let's be clear. Flow does not mean doing nothing. It means doing the right thing at the right intensity, with the right energy. Action without tension. Effort without panic. Think of a martial artist. Their power does not come from stiffness. It comes from responsiveness. Loose, present, attuned. When you operate from force, your actions are fueled by fear of losing. When you operate from flow, your actions are fueled by alignment. Force says, if I don't make this happen, I'll miss my chance. Flow says, what is meant for me cannot bypass me. Force grips, flow guides, and neuroscience supports this. In flow states, the prefrontal cortex, the part of you obsessed with self-criticism and time, quiets down. You become immersed, present, efficient. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists call it channeling. Mystics call it alignment. Different language, same phenomenon. You perform best when you are not strangling the moment. What changes when you let go? When you stop forcing? You stop refreshing the same conversation in your mind. You stop obsessing over whether they'll text back. You stop measuring your timeline against someone else's highlight reel. And something subtle happens. You begin to trust, not blindly, but quietly. You trust that if something leaves, it was never anchored. You trust that if something delays, it's recalibrating. You trust that if something feels heavy, it's misaligned. And this trust shifts your posture. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. Life feels it. You become less reactive, more magnetic, less desperate, more grounded. Synchronicities increase. Not because the universe suddenly noticed you, but because you finally slowed down enough to notice it. A message arrives at the right time. A conversation opens a door. An idea drops into your awareness without strain. The path doesn't scream. It whispers. And you can only hear whispers when you're not shouting at life. The practice of allowing. So how do you actually stop forcing? Not in theory, in reality. You begin small. When you feel urgency, pause. When you feel the impulse to send the fifth follow-up message, wait. When your mind says, do more or you will fall behind, ask, is this fear or alignment? Let action arise from clarity, not panic. Let desire exist without attachment. You are allowed to want things. You are allowed to dream, but you do not have to suffocate your dreams with anxiety. Imagine holding a bird. If you grip too tightly, you harm it. If you hold too loosely, it flies away. But if you hold it gently, steady, present, calm, it stays. Desire is like that. Hold it with openness, not fear. The transformation, arc. When life begins to move, there will come a moment, and it may arrive quietly, when you realize You're no longer chasing. You're choosing. You're no longer proving. You're expressing. You're no longer trying to outrun your fear. You're walking with it, and it's no longer in control. And suddenly, the right conversation feels easy. The right opportunity feels natural. The right relationship feels reciprocal. Not because life became perfect, but because you stopped resisting its rhythm. The river was always flowing. You were just swimming against it. Now you're floating with it. And floating doesn't mean you stop moving. It means movement becomes intelligent, intentional, sustainable. You conserve energy, you conserve focus, you conserve your nervous system. And from that conservation, power builds. Not frantic power, stable power. The kind that doesn't burn out, the kind that doesn't need validation, the kind that trusts timing. Final words. Trust the current. If you feel exhausted lately, it may not be because you're incapable. It may be because you're forcing a door that was never meant to open that way. Step back, breathe, loosen your grip. Ask yourself, what if it's already unfolding? What if the opportunity you're trying to chase is circling back towards you? What if the clarity you're demanding requires space to land? What if what's meant for you is already moving, but you can't see it because you're too busy pushing? There is intelligence in stillness. There is power in surrender. There's momentum in trust. Stop forcing it. Let the river carry what belongs to you. And take aligned action, not from fear, but from grounded presence. If this resonated with you, if something inside softened while listening, then like this video, subscribe, not for the algorithm, but as a commitment to your own alignment. Because the more you trust, the less you'll need to try. And what's meant for you has been flowing towards you all along.